Yeah, so I've been working with Unreal Engine since 2007. I started working with Unreal Tournament 3 for the Make Something Unreal contest. So Epic's been supporting people for a long time now. As relevant experience to this project, though, I worked as a lead Unreal developer on one of the first Unreal-based car configurators. So why did I choose AI for animation? Well, in 2018, I entered a competition called Formula Pi, which you can see on the right there. That's one of my runs. It's an autonomous racing competition with RC cars powered by Raspberry Pi computers. And as part of that vehicle configurator I spoke about before, we had to animate vehicles a few times, and we noticed it was a real pain to do so. You either had to go back and forth with external programs, or a popular method was driving with a gamepad. And that always looked a bit like Grand Theft Auto, which wasn't going to fly with our automotive customers. So it was just, yeah, it always just twitchy animation or looked like games. And it was also error prone. You know, you had to always repeat your drive several times trying to get that perfect line. And if you changed the art direction and needed the path a bit different, you had to do it all over again. And I'm like, this is a game engine. Like, we've got physics simulations, VFX systems like Niagara and sound. It's like, surely we can do better than these systems we've got at the moment. So those ideas sort of merged and Rush Hour was born. So yeah, it's a plugin you can enable on any project. I like to think of it a bit like having an AI stunt driver at your command. The goal that I've always strived for is that you should be able to produce an animation within a few minutes of enabling the plugin. I've included 3 vehicles to sort of help you with that. Because it's all backed by a physics simulation in Unreal, the cars will behave according to gravity and their mass and their suspension and tire settings. And this all works together to create realistic motion. It's a spline-based workflow, so you can place a path and set all your control points as normal on a spline. But on each control point, you can set a target speed and any actions that you want performed. And the driver is going to perform according to that, and it will slow down appropriately for corners and so on. You've got driver profiles, so you can choose like slowpoke is good for 4x4 driving, or you've got racer, which is fast and controlled, or frantic, which is going to push corners too fast and have twitchy steering, and that's going to produce nice looking car chases. And you can set the profile strength as well, so you can exaggerate or reduce the effects of these profiles. And I spent a long time trying to tune these driver profiles, trying to make it produce realistic driving. And I'm still improving that all the time, but yeah, I'm pretty happy with how it's turned out. And because it's all a simulation, you've got quite a lot of opportunities to hook into it. Hang on, you've got quite a few opportunities to hook into it. So you've got things like wheel slip, engine revs, and braking that you can read out of the system and drive all sorts of other systems with it. So you can drive sounds, particle systems, skid marks. And if you look at this 4x4 on the bottom left, it turns on its brake lights as it stops. And that's also interacting with Fluid Ninja there. So you can get it to interact with all your fluid simulations and other effects in your world. So it's quite powerful in that regard. And because I didn't want people focusing on animation, I wanted people focusing on animation, not AI. I wanted to automate the training of it, so you didn't have to figure out the PID values and all of that complexity. So yeah, I implemented this, which will just put your car through a bit of a hazard course, work out how well it corners, and just tune itself better and better each time. It takes about 12 minutes, which is just long enough to go grab a coffee, have a bit of a chin wag with your coworkers, and come back and start animating. And you only need to do that once per vehicle. And therefore, it's compatible with a whole bunch of vehicles on the marketplace. Out of 50 vehicles or so, it works with 49 of them. And the ones that don't work with, you've just got to change a few parameters on those vehicles, because it's things like the suspension's too soft. So when it corners hard, the car hits the ground, and it's difficult to drive with a gamepad for that same reason. So as a solo dev, working on this project, it's the same sort of difficulty as any other project, really. It's hard to be across everything, because you're not working in a team, there's no one as immersed in the project as you are. You've of course got friend developers that you talk to and bounce ideas off, but because they're not working on the same project day in, day out with you, they just don't have the same context on the problems and whatever. So it just takes a lot longer to sort of convey those issues and bounce ideas around. So that's a pretty big challenge. And of course, you've got all the different skills that intertwine, like code development, tech art, cinematography, so on. These are all sort of careers in themselves. So it's impossible to be an expert in all of them. So you've just got to do your best and choose the ones that are going to be the most helpful for your project and skill up as best you can in them, as quick as you can in them. One of the things I struggled with the most was improving the look of animations. The early videos that I did, I'm actually a bit embarrassed to show them because they made the animations look slow, they made the vehicles look bad, and it was really just the limitations of my camera work. So I've learned some simple techniques like working with choosing a better focal length, adding counter movement to a camera, including a lot of foreground objects. That all adds to the sense of speed, but then also good use of camera shake can really add momentum to a scene. And then of course adding music and engine sounds immediately adds energy as well. So yeah, that's been a skill I've had to rapidly improve in. For the MegaGrant itself, pardon me, I really wanted the MegaGrant to help me take this project much higher heights than I was able to achieve by myself. And the financial support has been, of course, great, but in many ways, yeah, the morale boost has been bigger because there's someone else there that has seen the strength of your vision or your project. So the morale boost is not to be underestimated on these MegaGrants. So my plan with the MegaGrant was I wanted to add sounds to Rush Hour. As I mentioned before, adding sounds into a scene can immediately improve the energy of a scene. So I think by having sounds from your very first time you run a car, it's going to immediately inform how you create that animation. So I think that's super powerful. I wanted additional artist time to start adding better tires, improved materials, and more detailed interiors. And I wanted to add quite a few code improvements, wanted more time there to improve the driving controls, add things like tire deformation, which you get from some of your offline systems. And I wanted to start exploring control rig for some of your more stylized movements and things like drifting. So with sounds, I'm working with a local sound engineer now, thanks to the MegaGrant. He's got over 10 years of experience and quite a catalog of games behind him. So I'm excited about the quality of that we're getting there, but it's not quite ready to be shown off yet. Additional artist time. I've already pushed out new tires, and the interiors we're just sort of working out what quality level we're aiming for. As for code improvements, you can see tire deformation working on the right there. It's a distance field based method at the moment, and it's just a single material node to add to a material. I'm excited to dive deep into the epic demo that they just showed at GDC though, to see how their method works. I've implemented reduced corner cutting, so it's much easier to coax the drive you want out of it. And in the future, I want to add handbrake hints to the paths so you can create much better power slides. A bit of a sneak peek for where the future of Rush Hour is going. I've been working on a vehicle importer because people keep asking, can I use my own vehicles in Rush Hour? And the answer is, of course, yes, but I'm always a little bit uncomfortable answering that question because I know how much of a pain it is to set up a vehicle as a chaos vehicle. And it I've seen some people say it takes like a week in their YouTube videos, and like that's a huge barrier to entry. So with this importer, I've really tried to bring that time to getting a vehicle in down. So what you do in Blender, you just sort your geometry into these various collections that you can see here in the center. And then this toolkit on the left here, this menu system, you hit prepare vehicle for Unreal, rig vehicle for export, and export prepped vehicle. That's it. As long as there's no errors, that's all you need to do. And that measures the size of the wheels, various other properties, it combines all the meshes and spits out exactly what's needed for Unreal. And then on the Unreal side, you choose a few options here, like whether you want to use nanite meshes, you choose a vehicle type that most closely matches, and you press import and point it to those same exported files. And Unreal, and this does most of the work. There's about 30 seconds of manual work you need to do afterwards. But apart from that, you have a car driving in next to no time. This is the Audi vehicle from the car configurator sample on the Epic samples page. That's about 6 million triangles, and that took about 7 minutes to process through Blender and about 14 minutes to import. A vehicle that's about 300,000 triangles takes about 30 seconds in Blender and about 2 minutes to import into Unreal. So it's pretty quick. So that means, yeah, in under 10 or 20 minutes, you can have a vehicle from Blender driving in Unreal. It's quite a quick process. So that's laid the foundation for a lot of future stuff as well, like high quality motion blur on your wheels and automatic setup of tire deformation. That's all future work that will be coming in a future version of the vehicle importer, but there's a good future there. So as for what's next for me and MEGAGRANTS, I'm excited to explore UEFN. That's looking like it's going to be an amazing creator space. I don't think it supports code plugins yet, but I'm excited to see what I could do about bringing Rush Hour to that, whether code plugins are coming in the future or whether I might need to translate Rush Hour to Verse. I'm not sure, but it's early days for my current MEGAGRANT, so I'm a little while off applying for another one or what have you. But yeah, this sort of stuff's on my horizon. Control rig's going to be a big focus point for research in the coming months. And that vehicle importer has turned out to be a very, very powerful tool and very, very quick. So it will be included in Rush Hour by default, but because it just puts out normal chaos vehicles that don't need Rush Hour, there's a lot of value there, I think, to other people that just want to import vehicles for other reasons into Unreal. So I might be looking at launching that as a second product. And I want to reach out to some of the MEGAGRANTS perks partners. A new graphics card would very much help with higher quality and faster rendering, allowing me to push out more animations a lot quicker and iterate a lot quicker. So yeah, that's Rush Hour. I'm excited for the future. The MEGAGRANT program has been immensely successful with me. Still got a lot to go with it, but yeah, it's been very, very helpful so far.